Hello everyone, it's James from Keeping It Anime, and today we'll be talking about chapter 116 and chapter 117 of We Never Learn, the manga series. So, a quick apologies about the delay for chapter 116. I've been super busy, but enough about that. Let's talk about that chapter. So first off then, 116. The cover page looks super nice, with Rizu posing underneath an umbrella. The colours and the art style blend together nicely, creating a very nice image that's aesthetically pleasing to look at. Still not quite as good as the Azumi cover page that we had a few chapters ago. But hey guys, you know I'm a big Azumi fan, so bit of bias towards there. Anyway, within this chapter of 116, it contains a lot of comedy. But before we get to that part in the chapter, we start to learn as to why Rizu has stopped attending the study sessions. Even though she wants to, as well, and her focus has been kind of wavering. But then we find out that it's again to do with the fact that Ogata doesn't see herself in a good light. And this is also connected with the memory that she has of her gran, with her not wanting to play a game. It's all connected. She feels like the rest of the group would sooner or later get fed up with her, just like her gran did, and see the horrible person that she truly is. No, this is only really seen by herself. We as viewers and as the cast members in the manga have never seen any of these traits that she claims to have. And you know, this is heavily implied that her gran also supposedly saw these traits in her, and this is why Rizu thinks that she doesn't want to play the games with her anymore. Or back then. She can't now because she's passed on. Then the comedy comes in, where they're in the nurse's office, and Yuiga is hiding underneath a blanket, while Rizu is lying next to him, and they're both trying to fool Fumino. Basically, it would be disastrous if Furuhashi found out that Rizu and Yuiga were in the same bed together. So we have all that kind of comedy there. The faces and the way in which the segment played out was very enjoyable, and it did give me a good laugh. And then the three start to talk it out. Rizu explains the situation, and also starts stating that she wanted herself to be more like Furuhashi. And she also states to Furuhashi that she just doesn't like herself. That's why she doesn't want to be around anyone. So the emotion drawn in this segment was really nice to see, and it emphasised what each character was saying. As we see reactions and expressions from Rizu and Furuhashi herself, with them both looking a bit sad really. Fumino, she just wants her friend to be happy, and we find out in the next chapter some more reasons as to why Furuhashi was upset, which I'll go into in a minute. And then Rizu, because she just needs a bit more time to sort things out. And yet she clearly wants to be with everybody. But because of the feelings that she's feeling now and a self-doubt, she knows that she can't. One more thing to note in this chapter is that Yuiga is learning about emotions and kind of studying his friends in this scene, as he seems to pick up on the expressions of his two friends, and this is evidence to the fact that he spends time making a game/test for Rizu, in where if by the end of it she likes herself, then Yuiga wins. If not, then Rizu wins the game. One good thing to note as well is that Rizu has yet to win a game against Yuiga. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the test entails, because we don't know any information as of the end of 116. Oh, and Yuiga finally gets his Santa's outfit in this chapter as well, which is kind of nice because when all the girls had him, he had to be a reindeer. So what would this test entail? Well, for that we'll have to look at chapter 117. So the test that Yuiga laid out for Rizu, well, is somewhat surprising, yet nice at the same time. We find out that the story in which the test revolves around is actually from Fudahashi's perspective. As while they didn't know each other back in the past at the start of school, at the beginning it was Rizu who basically helped Fudahashi strive towards her goal. When everybody else, like Miss Kirisu and her father, and everyone else around her, basically told Fudahashi to follow the path that she's good at, and not to go down this silly road of wanting to be, an astrologist or whatever it is to do with the stars. It was Rizu herself that kind of encouraged her and told her that you create your own paths. We're here to learn, so why is it that we can't learn to go down the path that we want to go down? This is what Rizu tells Fudahashi, and it's quite nice to see that the roles have been swapped around. Because up until this point, we know that Rizu wants to be like Fudahashi because to Rizu, she seems like the perfect person. She seems like she's an amazing person who can follow her goals and go down whatever road. But in fact, the roles were actually switched at the beginning because it was Rizu who basically told Fudahashi that she could go down her chosen path and it would be okay. So if that never happened, then Rizu wouldn't actually feel the way that she does towards Fudahashi for going down her chosen path. I hope that makes sense. If not, make sure you read the chapter because it explains it much better than I did. And although throughout this scene, Rizu basically continues to be stubborn about seeing herself as being ugly, and it's great to see Yuiga finally, stating the fact that there aren't any traits that he or anyone else in the group can see that would make him feel like that. And if there was something, or if there ever is something down the road, then as her tutor, he would talk to her about it, and they'll work together on improving it. The art style throughout this scene and throughout the flashback was really nicely drawn, and it just adds to the overall enjoyment of sort of understanding and seeing where this comes from. So then, we also learn the truth as to why Rizu's Gran refused to play games with her. If you see previous chapters, Rizu basically is hung up on this idea that her Gran didn't want to play with her because she got bored. However, this flashback that we get to see doesn't show us that at all. Instead, we see a very concerned granny watching over her granddaughter. Oh, and by the way, the design for young Rizu looks absolutely adorable. And her grandmother is just hoping that she'll make friends and she won't need to rely on her gran anymore to kind of have a good time, as she knows that, Rizu's gran won't be around forever, and thus leading to the creation of board games. Thanks to seeing a younger child going up to her group of friends saying, "Look at this new board game." This inspired the board game creations. So this whole scene is where her gran basically refuses to play with her in Rizu's mind. It's warped to Rizu's perspective to her not liking her. However, it's actually shown to us that her gran lied. Her gran wanted nothing more than to play with her granddaughter. But instead, she lied so that it would push and hopefully Rizu would find others to play with and make happy memories playing these games that she's created for her. And this chapter definitely showed just that. We see not only Azumi, Uruka, Sekijo, Yuiga, and finally Fudahashi playing these games with Rizu, sharing a great time, and then we finally get clarification on the fact that Yuiga has won the game that he set out at the end of last chapter. Meaning, Rizu has one, still never won a game against Yuiga, and two, she doesn't hate herself anymore, and she's come to understand the feelings and the desires that her gran had. And we see a very nice scene of Rizu looking back and seeing like a an astral sort of figure of her grandmother smiling happily towards her. At the end of the chapter, we do also finish off with a little bit of a kind of, not cliffhanger as such, but something that wasn't expanded upon, and saying that, you know, I really am bad at games, from Rizu's perspective. And then she goes, well then, you like it. Furuhashi says, well then you like yourself. And Rizu goes, I think it's more like love. But it's unclear as to whether or not she loves herself or she loves Yuiga, because she is blushing at this time, so it could be both. And you know what? We know that she does somewhat have feelings for Yuiga as well, so yeah, I can see it being both. Overall, guys, this chapter was filled with some great emotion and feeling, a bit of comedy, mostly appearing within the board game section of this chapter, in the form of comments from the characters, like Azumi saying, yeah, Koa, you're great, you know, not really giving him many compliments, or Sekijo saying she can name 1,000 things she likes about Rizu. And obviously the classical faces that we get. And I would also like to take a minute to thank the editors who worked on this chapter, because not only did they translate the whole chapter in general, but they also translated the test and the words on it as well, making us a little bit more able to understand whose perspective the test was based from. So, overall, this chapter was a great chapter to read. And if you haven't done so already, make sure to go and read it. But other than that, that's going to do it for this review. I hope you've enjoyed. If you have, smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new so you never miss a video from me. And until next time, guys, I hope you have an amazing day. And, well, you know it. Keep it anime. Goodbye.